everyone, my name is Bethany. So in Module 2 in the Racial Identity Development article, shows how almost clueless white people are to racism because um, they don't need to be or they don't have to be aware because it really doesn't affect them because they are the majority, which I found to be really accurate. Um, So I came to realize my culture and how I was in the majority in college, which is crazy to me that I didn't realize that until I was in college and almost 20 years old. Um, so, what made me become aware of my culture and the fact that I was in the majority was a class on diversity, which blows my mind now that I'm a social worker and like working with so many different populations and doing what I do now. It like looking back, I'm like, how in the world did I live 20 years and not recognize the fact that I am a majority? Um, but it took that long to realize that and to recognize that because I'm because of color blindness and because of being white and living and growing up in a basically all white community. Um, so I never had to like recognize my race, or it was never really talked about at home or in school or anything. It was just one of those things that we just like went about our business because we never had to deal with any racism or deal with anything regarding our race. Um, so there was one time when I was 6 or 7, our neighbors were mixed. Well, the kids were mixed. The mom and dad, the mom was white and the dad was African American. And we always hung out with them. We like every day after school we would hang out with them. And there was one time that we were like out playing football with the kids, and I like randomly was just like, wait, are your guys' feet the same color as your skin? And my brother, like I have an older brother, and he like flipped out and he was like, Bethany, that's so rude, that's so mean, like don't say things like that. And I was like, what? Like why? Like what's wrong? Like they have different skin color than us. Like I don't understand. But like in that moment, I remember recognizing that their skin was different than ours, and that was the first time I ever like recognized that it was just like a little darker because they were mixed, so it wasn't like that big of a difference. But um, it was like never talked about ever again, and my brother like flipped out, and I was like, well, guess we're never talking about it. So um, after that, I was like, okay. But it was so that was the only time I remember like really recognizing it, other than in college. And then, so personally, I've never experienced institutionalized racism because I'm white and I've never like had to deal with anything like that. But one of my clients just recently, she was looking for jobs, and there was like we were driving down the road and all these places had like hiring signs, and I was like, hey, like why don't you look at all these places because they're obviously hiring. And she was like, no. And like all these places were so close. I live on site at my job and they're so close to where we live. And she was like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, why not? And she's like, well, we live in a white neighborhood or like white area. And she was like, they don't like black people. And I was like, okay. And I was like, are you serious? Like, or are you just saying that? And she was like, no, I'm serious. And I work with 17 to 21-year-olds. So, I mean, she's an adult. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, if you know what you're talking about, then you know what you're talking about. But I was like, all right. So that was like really eye-opening to me and really shocking because just to like have her have to deal with that in today's society, I was like, all right, well, that really, like, let's move on from that and let's like talk about it. So that was difficult. Um, but she dealt with it and like we discussed it, and she was like, yeah, this isn't the first time. And she's like, we live in a really white part of town. And she was like, it's not uncommon. So, which is really unfortunate. Um, but in the article by UCLA, color blindness was talked about as being one of the main issues, um, as well as white supremacy and white privilege in like institutions and organizations. So one thing that um, I would like to do, or as posed as the question, um, to challenge power structures, since this issue just came up with one of my clients, I think it would be good or crucial to, just as social workers, to like host forums or meetings, and just like gather the head and the lead of organizations, like managers or like higher ups, quote unquote, like just to get them aware and just educated, because being educators is one of our roles as social workers, of colorblindness and the white privilege aspect of society. It's still a thing and it's not going away as long as we as social workers and they as the leaders of their organizations don't do anything about it. If no one does anything about it, and especially the role models and us as the ones who are the advocates for those who are underprivileged and marginalized, like if we don't do anything about it, nothing's going to happen. So I think it's crucial for us to say something and to do something. So that would be my one take action thing. So yeah, thank you for listening.